you, man?
Good, good. Ready for another great episode. We're firing on all cylinders again. Back
Yeah.
at it, full bore.
Tonight's a special one, man. I know we talk a lot about local heroes, and as the
Yeah,
season has progressed on, it's the most wonderful time of the year, Dane. It's football time finally.
yeah,
Football's back.
absolutely.
There's a guest tonight where I want to hear you talk about it. I've heard you and my other uncles always talk about Coach Weston Schartz. We'll bring it on in a minute.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this guy. What does he mean to you? And tell me why he's so cool, you know?
I was particularly geeked for this one because he's somebody I hold in very high regard. In my high school days, all of my brothers and uncles played football for him. Uh, my path initially wasn't to play football. I was a soccer player, but my brothers convinced me, hey, why don't you come out and try to kick a football? So I went out there and I gave it a try, and he gave me the opportunity to do that, and I had nothing but fun. And you know, on top of that, I learned a great deal about the game, about life, and from him as a coach, I learned how to be a better man. And that's what he's been doing over his long coaching career, is not just making great athletes, sending them to the highest level they can be, but he's made them great men all along the way. And you'll see whenever we talk to him how his attitude and all the things he is very contagious, and he's just a great man and somebody I really hold dear.
Well, it's a high pedigree. As much as we look up to you, Dane, that's high regard coming from you. So I don't want to waste any time. I'm excited to bring the local hero, Coach Weston Schartz from Cape and Mount Carmel. Coach, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you guys. Dane, good
Yeah,
to see
thanks.
you, buddy.
Hey, you too. Thanks for joining us tonight. We couldn't be prouder to have you on, and in our own hometown as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Coach, I'll jump into the question set. I know you're a busy guy and football season's already upon us. It's the greatest time of the year. This is what we live for every year. We're so excited. Again, obviously, everyone knows about Coach's local legend and all things you've done, but I'm kind of curious, man, to take me back before the championship seasons, before the groundswell that has become this juggernaut that you are. Take me back to maybe when you got the itch to begin coaching. When did this begin? When did coaching for Coach Schartz begin, if you will? You know?
Well, I tell you, I went to Curtis Middle School, and I had a guy named Harold Wilhelm. He was my middle school basketball coach and track coach, and I love sports. I played football, basketball, baseball, tried to do them all. Couldn't play soccer, Dane, but I tried them all, and I knew that at someday my playing days would be finished, and I wanted to stay around the sport. Number one, number two, I wanted to make a difference in young men's lives, and what better way to do it than to coach them? But let me tell you how I got to West, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Um,
Yes, sir.
I was out of college, and one of my high school coaches, Dan Johnson, calls me up and says, "I heard you needed a job." And I said, "Yeah." I go, "Where are you coaching at now?" He says, "I'm coaching at West. Would you like to come?" And I said, "That's the last place I'd ever want to go." And he said, "Why is that?" And I said, "Man, that's just not me." Well, August 15th comes around. I don't have a job. So I called Coach back up and said, "Coach, you still got that job for me?" He said, "Yeah, come on." So I went to West, and I'll never forget, I sat in his office and I said, "It's only going to be 1 year, Coach. I'm only staying at this place 1 year." And he said, "That's fine. Do the best you can and give it all you have." Well, 1 year became a passion. It actually
Yeah.
became 26 years. I loved West High School. Even though I wasn't there my whole career, I left for a while because, quite frankly, I didn't get along with the principal at the time. And it was probably the worst day of my life when I went to Northwest, not because it was a bad place, but I'm a West High guy.
Yes,
And
sir.
it goes to show you that when God has you someplace, that's where he puts you. And if you try to argue with them, you're going to lose. And
Yes,
I
sir.
lost. And those times at West were outstanding times.
Oh man. I was just hearing the 26 years of greatness. That's amazing, man. From there to obviously what you're doing with Capen, and just as the story continues, it's always kind of neat. And already, Dane, off
Yeah,
the bat, I can see what you like about him. He kind of following the path
yeah,
that God took him on, and I can already see where you're going. Go ahead, Dane. That's awesome, man.
yeah. That whenever all the years at West High, I know, watched my uncles and my brother for you, things that you've coached and seen, and all the things, the experience you've had at Northwest, and now at Capon. Through the years, can you think of maybe one or two games or even more that kind of stick out in the forefront of your mind that you always can go back to whenever you need maybe a pick-me-up, that were some great times for you that you can maybe tell us about?
No doubt about it. I can name them right off the top of my head. 1993, we were playing Northwest High School for the City League Championship. And if you know how West and Northwest rivalry was, Northwest opened in 1978, and they took more than half of the students from West. And that rivalry we had with Northwest, we hadn't beaten them in years. And we got to play them in, I believe, game number 8 for the City League Championship. And we won that game to a sellout crowd at South High School. There wasn't one seat left.
Yeah.
We won that game 14-13, and we became the City League champs. That was the turnaround of West High football. Then we could compete with all the so-called big boys, and we beat them that year. That was one of the most important games that I remember well. Another one I remember, it was against Derby, and it was 1998. And Derby had beaten us 3 years in a row. You know those times. They were in our district. We lost in 4 overtimes. We lost 19-18. We lost 3 heartbreakers. And back then, they only took one team to the playoffs. Well, we were 8-1 3 years in a row, and we didn't get to make it to the playoffs. But that particular year, we knocked the door down. It was Halloween night, and we beat them 54-0.
Wow!
And I'll never forget that. And it was just to see our guys, the joy they had winning that game was amazing. But those 2 games really stick out. Now, I've been to state championships and all that stuff, but those 2 games are the 2 biggest games I can remember like yesterday. But it was really cool to go down to Derby, take my 35 guys and beat their 90 guys. And we walked off the field that night as champs.
Wow, man, that's.
I vividly remember a lot of those games in Derby. That wasn't the greatest atmosphere to go playing in as you walk in. They were pretty.
They treated us well, didn't they, Dane?
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
The rivalry was strong. Is that what you're saying, Coach?
Yeah,
the rivalry was real. Yeah, I love that,
love
man.
lost. My daughters. One time, I was at Grandy's, the restaurant, and Derby guy came up with his Derby football coat on, and he tried to talk to me, and my daughters go, "Dad, we don't talk to Derby people."
Oh man!
And they were like 4 and 6 years old, and they lived it too. My wife Nancy, she lived it. Our guys at West lived it. If you've never been to West and been around those guys, you don't get it.
Yeah.
There's something special about West. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I think it's neat, Coach. One of the things as we kind of look at influence, it's in all seriousness, because I know, Dane and I were born and bred Sooners, and you have that, there's things like the OU Texas rivalry, the West and the Derby rivalry. What I love about it is it's great where there's that rivalry on the field, and you walk off and there's that respect after the game. I absolutely love that. That's something that you can have rivalries on the field and then shake hands and have respect afterwards. I know that you were a part of teaching that, and your influence on this city. It's a big net that you've cast. Because I know, again, their name just keeps coming up over and over again. The influence, guys that are now my age, that look back on when you coached them, and now they're coaching their boys, and it just keeps continuing, right? So I'm curious, man. Maybe in this body of work that you've created, who's been a mentor to you? Like, who coaches Coach Schartz, if you will?
Well, my college baseball. I was a baseball athlete, and I did play college football too. But baseball is how I got my school paid for. His name was Coach Brossman, and he was the leader of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at our college, and a big influence on me on, it's important to go out and win and teach these guys how to win, but there's more to it than wins. Who do they become 20 years down the line? And he taught me that. And matter of fact, we just had our 40th reunion. My college baseball team, it had been 40 years since we beat Notre Dame in a
Oh, wow.
baseball game. So we celebrated. We flew him in from Washington, and I still am in close contact with him. But he was a big influence on me. I learned a lot from him. And then, Dane, you know the athletic directors at West, Coach Alderson, Coach Blue, and Coach Otis Isaacs. Those guys all took time out. I was 25 when I took the West job. I was the youngest coach in state history to take a 6A job. And the reason I got it, because Dane, nobody else wanted it. And there was like 2 other applicants. It wasn't because I was a great applicant. I was the dumbest one at the time, but I knew the good Lord said, hey, this is your mission field. This is where you're going to work. This is where you're going to make an influence. And we'll, you know, and that's what happened, you know.
Wow.
But I had great mentors that took time out for me and to teach me the game, but they didn't just teach me to win. They taught me to, obviously we wanted to win. I'm a competitive guy. They are my guys, but they're in the long scheme of things. It's not about that. It's who you become, what kind of man you are. And we have some great men at West High.
Wow. Dane,
and couple on to that, you know, along that same vein, I mean, there's always been a stigma with, you know, West High, but you've really kind of through the years have knocked that stigma off and say, hey, look, this is what kind of athletes we have, and we're making them good people as well. So that's a tip of the hat to you and the work you and obviously the coaching staff that you always put together bring to, you know, what you do. So like I say, it's something that it's hard to knock stigmas off, but you've done it through the years very well.
Well, I'm still fighting that stigma, you know, out there that we'll always wear that stigma, Dane. You know, it will always be West. It's us against the world. You know that. But you know what? That's okay. We wear it proudly. Yeah.
So now moving forward, now that you're with Cape, I mean, you're coming off of a runner-up in the state championship last year, which congratulations, is a very tough feat to do here in this state. What are you looking forward to going into this year? I know you guys are probably right in the thick of practices and getting ready for that first game coming up soon when the season starts. But what are you looking forward to in 2024? Are there any athletes that you're, you know, anxious to see get on that field for you?
Oh yeah, I have some great kids at Cape, and also they're hardworking. They're very dedicated. But I have 2 or 3 Division I athletes. One of them's Kyle Kia, who's already verbally committed to Oklahoma State University. He's an outside linebacker. He's 6'4", 210, can run. And I got a guy named Cal Purvis, who just transferred over from Bishop Carroll. He's got 2 brothers that play Division I football. And we have some other guys, you know, Austin Howard and Jackson Daniel and, you know, Dylan Burt. We have guys. They're good football players. They're smart. They work hard. And when I took the Capon job, all I wanted to do was go over there and change the mentality. It had been 37 years since he had won a city championship, and we won our second year. And it was a great accomplishment for the kids. But I've always felt like Capon had a lot of talent, but they just weren't really bought into what they could do. And I felt like they needed a leader that would push them over the edge. And we've got a really good coaching staff, good administration, but we have some good football players. Now, we lost a lot of starters from that team from last year, but we returned about 7 of them, and there's 7 really good players. We're going to be in the thick of things. You know, we've dropped down to 4A next year because of enrollment. Our enrollment's actually up, but with all the other schools getting bigger, we dropped to 4A, and we're looking forward to making some big noise in 4A football and possibly getting to a state championship game again. Hopefully this time winning it.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
You know, we'll be watching and rooting. Coach will probably be at a few games. We'll be the crazy guys cheering you on the side, man. So we'll be out there, you know, in our stuff, man. So we can't wait, man. It's just, like I said, the most wonderful time of the year. So as I transition for a second, I can promise you, Coach, there's a segment that this show is our benchmark. So we're going to transition and tell some jokes, kind of make you laugh. We do a little thing that's called rapid fire. Let me set the stage for what this is, Coach. We're going to ask you 5 questions. Now check this out. You can't say the wrong answer. Whatever you say is what's right. Me and Dane, we're going to bet on what we think you're going to say. We're going to ask you 5 questions. We think we know what you're going to say. If I get more picks right than Dane does, I get lunch. If he gets more picks right than I do, he gets lunch. So you say what you want, and then we'll tell you if we got it right. We're kind of betting on you. Cool? So.
Okay.
All right. So with this, you don't have to instantly answer. It's called rapid fire, but with this, go with your heart. In this segment, imagine for a moment that time doesn't exist. Imagine you can go back in time just for a moment, some silly questions where time does not exist. Okay. So check this out. They ask you, as Coach Schartz, the man that you are known as now, you can go back in time to 2 different spots in time and coach one of these 2 guys in their first Little League game. Okay. You can go back in time and coach the first Little League game for Terry Bradshaw, or you can go back in time and coach the first Little League game for Troy Aikman. Terry Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, which one would you rather coach?
Oh, that's easy. Terry Bradshaw.
Let's go. I had it, Dane. I had it. How about you, Dane? Did you have that one?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was an easy one.
I just kind of had that.
Living legend.
Yeah. I love them both, Coach. But again, no wrong answer. But so me and Dane tied on that one. I just kind of had this feel, the old school feel that you are. I was like, it's probably Bradshaw. Okay, moving along. So you're going into 2024, and two companies come up and say, Coach, we want to sponsor you. We kind of want to do a little thing where we sponsor you, kind of do a little commercial. All we want you to do is come on and do a commercial for us. Coach Schartz, right? Edition. So the 2 companies that want to sponsor you for your brand this year is Legos, or you can be sponsored by Hot Wheels. You can cut a commercial for Legos, or you can cut a commercial for Hot Wheels. Which one are you going with?
Well, I had a big collection of Hot Wheels, so it's definitely Hot Wheels.
Okay, I got you. I actually had Legos, so I got that one wrong, Dane. How about you, Dane, on that one?
Yeah, that was a tough one because they're both iconic brands there. But
yeah,
I don't even know what it is barely.
Yeah. So Dane, we're tying now. What's going on here, Dane? So let's see if you can redeem yourself. So moving along with these questions, okay, Coach, check this out. So you guys make it to state this year. We're gonna go ahead and call it. You're making it to the championship. And what you do is every time you walk up to give a press conference or an interview, one of these 2 bands is gonna follow you around and say, now introducing Coach Schartz, and they start playing their hits for you. You have a walking entourage. The 2 groups you can choose from to follow you around and do your hype music is either A, you can have Journey follow you around, or you can have B, Foreigner follow you around and introduce you everywhere you go. Journey, Foreigner, who you going with?
No doubt, Foreigner.
Oh, I got that one wrong. I had Journey, Dane. I really did. Dane, how about you on that?
Yeah, Foreigner.
Oh, okay. You took the lead again. So, Coach, Dane's in the lead by 1 right now. So, Dane, you've got 2. I've got 1. We're keeping it moving along. We'll see what we can do here. Okay. So, Coach, they call you up. It's tie game. It's almost one of those movie moments. It's tie game, halftime. You take your guys in the locker room at the championship game, and you got to give a speech. Okay. And what they tell you is you can give a speech, but you can only use quotes from one of these 2 series. You can't speak in any other thing but these two movie shows. You can speak to your guys using quotes from Everybody Loves Raymond, the TV show, or you can speak to your guys using quotes from the Flintstones. Everybody Loves Raymond, the Flintstones. You got to coach your guys. Which one are you going with?
Yabba dabba doo.
Oh man, I seriously had Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm getting crushed here. Dan, which one did you have on that?
Flintstones. That fits the mold.
Okay. Well, I will say, Dan, you're going to win mathematically because I got 1. But there's one more, Coach. Let's just see if I can at least redeem myself with a point on this one. So the year is 2030, and they're making the Coach Schartz movie. It's going to be called The Kansas Underdog or something really cool, right? It's going to be this cool ESPN movie, and 2 of these guys say they want to play you, the lead character. They want to play Coach Schartz. Your 2 choices, you can choose from Pierce Brosnan, one of the best James Bond guys to ever do it, or you can choose Harrison Ford to play you. Pierce Brosnan, Harrison Ford, who's going to play you in the upcoming movie?
Pierce Brosnan.
Dane, I had Harrison Ford, Dane. I give up, man. I retire from rapid fire. Dane, which one did you have on that?
I'd Pierce, man. You can't go wrong with
Dane,
007.
You went 4-1, Dane. I'm pretty impressed with that, Dane. So well done. Well, Coach, obviously Dane wins this edition of Rapid Fire, so I appreciate you being a good sport. That's just a little something silly we do every episode. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll give it back to Dane for the last segment.
On this last segment, Coach, we call it an open mic. We open the floor up to our guests to kind of talk to some of those, the next generation or this generation, or basically anybody who, needs an inspirational word or maybe a little guidance. We ask our guests to maybe leave some words of wisdom for them. Is there a mantra or something that you've come up with, or philosophy that you can maybe give to some of our viewers and listeners that, aspire to do great things and just need a little bit of push?
That's good.
One thing that I've always lived by and tried to get our players to understand is how you handle adversity is who you become. We all have adverse things that happen to us, and we either gonna go run and hide and duck from it, or we're gonna meet it head on and make ourselves better. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. We're all gonna have adversity in our lives. We're gonna have adversity in our playing career. We're gonna have adversity with friends. We're gonna have adversity with our spouse, with our kids. And the way we handle those adverse things that happen is going to set us up for the rest of our life. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. That's the first thing. Second thing is I believe that you need to put love thy neighbor as yourself. That's a golden rule. And I think if you don't do that going through life, really show love for your neighbor, for your teammates, for your players, for your coaches, for your friends, and really show them love as much as you love yourself. I think that would get you a long ways in life. But I've been very fortunate to coach hundreds of kids, and each one of them have taught me something. And everybody always says, Coach, who's your favorite football player you ever coached? And it's not the best football players I've had. I don't know if you remember him or not, Dane. You remember Jeremy Noble?
Yes. Yeah.
Jeremy Noble
absolutely.
was one of the worst football players we ever had at West, but he's my favorite because Jeremy Noble was a great teammate. He always cheered on everybody. He never worried about individual success. And I that's the type of guys that, I really have enjoyed coaching. The guys that are there for the right reason. I'm gonna tell you a quick story, Dane. I don't know if you remember, we used to do the dog pound. You remember that? We're one-on-one. We called it the dog pound. We had midnight madness practice, and we did everything. Well, Jeremy Noble, the day before we were playing in the state championship in '97, he comes up to me and goes, Coach, I want to do the dog pound. I go, Jeremy, we're done with dog pound. We're getting ready to play state championship. He goes, no, I want to go against somebody on the team. So I said, all right, who do you want to go against? He pointed the kid out, and he actually beat him.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, he goes, Coach, I'm no longer the worst football player you've ever coached. But that really rung with me because that guy gave everything he had for 4 years, and where he came to where he finished was amazing. But I'm babbling a little bit, but my time at West was phenomenal. And I'm tickled to see you, Dane, doing well, and your brother's doing well, and just the life that you're living. I can see it in your eyes and your face, man. You're doing the right things. And I don't know your cousin here, but I wish I would have did you go to West?
No, sir, I did not. I'm from a little bit more south, so I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell me South High, but any place else.
I'm from the campus area is where I'm from. So
okay, I can live with that. But I've been blessed, man. I'm still doing it 42 years in. I haven't changed a bit. I'm still fiery. I'm trying to teach the kids the right way.
Yeah.
So I can see, Coach, like, again, because everyone I've ever has talked about you, Dane, and others have high regards, and I can see it because you've got, like you said, you've got the passion. And I go back to something that I kind of made some notes, Coach. You kept talking about doing things the right way. We know what you stand for. We know your ministry. You know that you're teaching something on and off the field. I've heard Dane say it 1,000 times that most of the time what you're teaching these guys is more important after they leave the field than when they're on the field. It's clear to see that you're not only developing players, you have a ministry. 42 years of doing this, you've definitely cultivated some amazing young men. And it's no wonder that Dane just speaks so highly of you. Am I right, Dane?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on to that, you know, I mean, whether you're coaching, parenting, or anything where you're leading young minds, you know, the payment doesn't come right away. You know, it's down the line. And on behalf of, you know, myself and my brothers, I mean, the greatest thing you can get paid is on down the line is a thank you. So I want to extend the thank you to what you've done for me and my brothers, and not only on the field, which was the fun part, but off the field, learning those things from you on how to be a better man. And they just echo, and you take that to that next generation, and that's what builds a better world. So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep watching. And I came to you with nothing but gratitude tonight. And I wanted to show everybody the kind of man you are, because we think very highly of you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Coach, we got to make sure we do it again sometime. But throughout the season, let's make sure we'll link up, of course, and do you guys stream the games this year? Do you think you'll be streaming Capen's games at all? Because if so, we'll share it and get the word out there for you, you know? So,
Well, we do stream them.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we'll be following your coach. And like I said, don't be surprised when we show up to a few games and those crazy guys hooting and hollering for you. That'll be us on the sidelines. So maybe we can meet the coach. Is that okay if we meet the coach if we show up? Maybe get some sideline passes?
You let me know what game you're coming to, and we'll get you on the sideline. We'll see if Dane can punt and kick.
Let's go, Dane. Let's do it. We'll coach
I gotta do some stretching. I gotta do a lot of stretching.
We'll give him a few weeks to stretch up.
Yeah. Have the icy hot ready there.
Dane still got his cleats. Well, Coach, thank you again, my friend. We'll get you back tonight. It's a true honor. We'll get this out to as soon as we can. We'll be in touch, and thank you again so much for your time. It was an honor. Okay, so
thank you,
Coach.
Pleasure.
Take care, Coach. Much love, sir. Bye. Well, Dane, I can tell, man. No wonder that you and the rest of the world loves this guy. I mean, how was that? Was that awesome or what?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like I said from the beginning, and it's been a year in the making. Like we said, you know, it just the timing didn't work out, but I'm glad we got him on, because I want everybody to see what he was all about and know that what he's doing is something special in our area. And if we can amplify that to a bigger audience, then it's even going to be a greater thing to spread around the world.
I definitely think the year in the making thing was worth it, man, because as we've been blessed and the show continues to grow, not that he needed it. He's very well known, very well respected. But if we can now push that out there, maybe he'll get some messages from our friends in Finland or something, you know, hey, good job, Coach, you know. So that was quite a special interview, Dan. Again, I see the passion. I see he lives and breathes it. He lives and breathes developing humans, man. That's what I noticed. He kept talking about his guys. And if you noticed, even from what he considered his college guys to those that maybe weren't, you know, the elite, everybody to him was the same. He looked at who they were as a person. It was never about their position, how fast they were. It was who they were as people. And that's just, it goes back to what you and Coach Nate always says from chaos, attitude and effort. You can hear him just speaking that into existence, you know? So
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, Dan, that was a great one, man. We, like I said, we're starting off August with a bang. Had Coach Kirby on Tuesday night. Still fired up from that. Still just jacked up. And then, of course, a local legend, Coach Schartz. We're just blessed, man. So we're going to save some surprises for next week. Next week's a big week, too. So not even going to spill the beans. Just be excited for next week, guys. You'll enjoy next week as well. But on behalf of Capen, of course, Coach Schartz, Dane, and I in the show, don't forget, as always, that we love you. And Dane?
Thank you for listening.